Hello and welcome to Chapter 2, Lesson 4. Today we're going to be talking about adding mentally. Now, what mentally means is we're going to be adding in our heads. So these are tricks that will help us to compute addition problems in our brains. Two of the things we're going to be looking at are the expanded form. So that's where we take each digit and expand it out to add. Another strategy we're going to be looking at is making 100. So I'm going to look, is there a possibility that I can make 100 because hundreds are much easier to work with than non-hundreds, right? So let's get started. Example 1. How many seats are in the two cars? So we're looking at 151 plus 128. So if we use expanded form, where I take 151 plus 128. So I'm going to break it apart. The 1 is worth 100, plus the 2 is worth 20, plus the 8 is worth 8. Okay, so now if I just add each, like the ones, add the tens, add the hundreds, I can get to my answer. So let's look at what that would look like. 1 plus 8 is 9. 50 plus 20 is 70. 100 plus 100 is 200. So if I put that together, 200 plus 70 plus 9 is 279. So 151 plus 128 is 279. There are 279 seats in the two train cars. Now let's look at another one. To this one, we're trying to find 134 plus 99. It's easy to make 100 from numbers that end in 98 or 99. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 to 99 to make it 100. But in order to balance things out, that means I need to subtract 1 from this side. I have to take 134 minus 1 to get 133. Now, these numbers are easier to add, aren't they? 134 plus 99, that'd be like doing a lot of stuff in our brain here. But 133 plus 100, that's easy. That's 233, right? So 133 plus 100 is 233. That was much easier to compute or to add in my head. So another strategy is we could make either addend, which remember, addends are like 4 plus 5, addend, and that gives us our sum of 9. Okay, so make either addend a 10, such as 10, 20, 30, and so on. These numbers are easier to add mentally. Okay, so let's practice that. For example, 3. There are 37 students from grade 3A and 25 students from grade 3B. How many students are on the bus? Use mental math to find 37 plus 25. Okay, so I know that if I take 25 and I add 5 to it, then I can get 30. And that's an easier number to work with than 25. But if I'm going to add 30, I need to balance it out and take 5 away from the top number. So the top addend, so 37 minus 5 is 32. So now to add 32 and 30, that's much easier. It's 62, right? I'm adding my tens, adding my ones, 62. There are 62 students on the bus. Okay, so let's try it again. Okay, what if this time, instead of making 25 30, what if I looked at the number 37 and I said, oh, that's close to 40. So I added 3 to get to 40. This is the same problem. We're just solving it two different ways to show you that you don't need to get hung up on, oh no, should I go 25 to 30 or should I do 37 to 40? We don't need to get hung up. You just pick one. Okay, so if I'm going to add 3 to 37 to get 40, then that means I need to take away 3 from 25, and that would get me to 22. 40 plus 22 is 62. Notice I get the same answer. Okay, so it's whatever you see first. You don't have to put too much thought into it. Whatever you notice first. All right, let's look at the guided practice here. So for the first one, we're going to be using expanded form to add mentally. So I'm going to break 79 apart into 70 plus 9. I'm going to break 54 apart into 50 plus 4. Okay, so now we're going to kind of work this way to add them back up. So 9 plus 4 is 13. That's not so, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? And 70 plus 50 is 120. Okay, so if I take 120 plus 13, this isn't quite as pretty as the other example, so I'm glad they chose one like this, is 133. Okay, but I still think this way of thinking about it is much easier than if I was going to try to just tackle that in my head, right? Okay, so now we're going to practice making a 10 to add. So here's our 8. I need to add 2 to it to make it a 10. So if I add 2 to the 8, that means I need to subtract 2 from the other add end. So I'm going to take 64 minus 2 and get 62. Now if I'm trying to add 62 plus 10, I'd get a quick 72. All right, let's keep going. Oh yes, here is our stop sign. So if you are an in-person learner, you can stop here. If you are a distance learner, you can keep watching, or you could try a couple problems and come back to watch it if you're having a hard time, if you'd like some more examples. So here we go. Let's try some more problems. Break apart the add-ins to add mentally. So I'm going to take 41, make it 40 plus 1. 26 and make it 20 plus 6. Now I'm going to add up and down here. 1 and 6 make 7. 20 and 40 make 60. Okay, now I'm going backwards here. 60 plus 7 is 67. All right, here I'm going to break 328 into 300 plus 20 plus 8. Now I'm going to take 254 and break it apart into 200 plus 50 plus 4. Okay, now I'm going to add them up and down. 8 plus 4 is 12. 20 plus 50 is 70. 300 plus 200 is 500. Okay, now I'm going to add them this way. 500 plus 70 plus 12. Ooh, so 70 plus 12 is going to get me to 82. And then I need to make sure I add in my 500, 582. There we go. Okay, now we're going to make a 10 or 100 to add mentally. So I'm noticing this lovely 7 here. I'm going to add 3 to it to make it a 10, which means I need to subtract 3 from 76 to balance out. So 6 minus 3 is 3. 7 comes down. So 76 minus 3 is 73. 73 plus 10 is going to get me to 83. Okay, so here I notice I have a 598. If I add 2 to it, I'm going to get to 600. I love working with hundreds. Okay, now if I add 2, then that means I need to subtract 2 over here. So I'm going to get 254. Okay, so if I add 600 plus 254, my 54 is going to stay the same because I'm adding 0 to it. But 2 plus 6 is 854. Make a 10 or 100 to add mentally. Okay, now they're kind of releasing the responsibility onto us. So I'm noticing this is about 340. So I'm going to add 1 to make it 340. Then I'm going to subtract 1 to make this 122. Okay, so now if I add my 1s, I'd get a 2. If I add my 10s, I'm going to get a 6. If If I add my hundreds, I'm going to get a 4. 462. Now look at this one, almost 100. So I'm going to add 1 and get 400. 428. I need to subtract 1. So I'm going to get 427. Okay, now if I'm adding this, I'm going to get 827. Wow, that was a really easy one to do once I made it 10 or 100. Okay, here's some brain builders. Okay, I need to break apart the addends. 767 is going to become 700 plus 60 plus 7. And 29 is going to become 20 plus 9. And I'm adding up and down here. 7 and 9 makes a 16. 60 and 20 makes an 80. 700 is adding to 0. Now I'm adding this way. So 80 and 16 makes a 96. And then add in my 700, 796. Okay, let's break apart 214. 200 plus 10 plus 4. 127 breaks apart to 100 plus 20 plus 7. Now we're adding up and down. 4 plus 7 makes 11. 10 plus 20 makes 30. 100 plus 200 makes 300. Look at this one kind of works. It doesn't do so much, does it? 30 plus 11 is 41. And then don't forget your 300. 341. Alrighty. Using number sense, Lambert's Livery rents canoes every weekend. How many total canoes were rented in June and July? Explain how you use mental math. Okay, so we're doing 154 plus 198. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 to 198 to make 200. And that means I need to subtract 2 to my other number to make 152. And I'm adding. 2 plus 0, 5 plus 0, 100 and 200 makes 300. So 352. And what's the question? How many rentals? Rentals. Okay. And then it says explain how you use mental math to find the sum. My explanation is my work. So I showed very clearly in my work how I did everything. So that's, if you show really good work, then your explanation becomes easy for some problems. Okay, test practice. During Science Week, there were 77 visitors on Monday, 28 visitors on Tuesday. During Math Week, there were 10 more visitors than during Science Week. How many visited during Math Week? So I'm taking 77 plus 28. Now this is kind of a whatever you'd like to choose. I'm noticing that if I add 3, I'm going to get 80. And if I subtract 3, I'm going to get 25. And I like that better than if I would have done the other way, which would have been 77 plus 28. If I would have added 2, subtract 2, oh, you get the same thing, don't you? You'd get 30 and 75. Okay, so it's really, do you want to add 80 and 25 or 75 and 30? Because both places, you're going to get 105. 5, 7, and 3 makes 10, 105. So, that's not the question though, is it? And then it says there were 10 more visitors during Science Week. So I need to increase my tens place by 1 to get 115. And notice this tricky math book. Look what they put as an option for an answer. So they know that if they ask you a 2-step question, they better put an answer down that matches your first step, so that maybe some of you would say, oh, 105, boop. Okay, so make sure you're always on the lookout because these questions are tricky and they're really making sure you know what you're talking about. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.